All right, so part two. The question that I have for you guys is this: is technology making it harder for students to write? As I was writing the outline for this episode, I was looking at it as a student using Microsoft Word and how easy it is to write a 3-page paper. And looking back from when I was homeschooled, I remember having to write a 1 to 2-page paper and just by hand. Then the reason why I was doing that, I was told to do that, is because I need to work on my penmanship and work in the writing as a whole. So now that I'm in college, I wouldn't even dream about writing a paper just by hand.
Yeah, me too.
And so, and because of that, it is easier to miss those small details that you wouldn't miss in the past. So I'll ask you guys again: is technology making it harder for students to write?
I think it is, personally, because technology is like everywhere around us. Like everywhere that you go, there's technology somewhere. There's something technological that's going to distract you. And I know from proofreading several of my peers' papers that there's a lot of text slang that's used when you're writing your essays, or you write like you're speaking to someone. That's like your writing style and how you speak to people are two different things. You don't write how you speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I
gotcha.
And you can tell when people are writing how they speak because it sounds like something that would come out of their mouth, and it doesn't sound right reading it.
You told me that when I gave you my paper that I was writing. You
Well, I
said,
mean,
like,
yeah. It's just
that's hard for me to do.
It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to tell them to not write like they're speaking to someone.
Especially,
You weren't actually my example, though. That's not who I was talking
wasn't.
about.
I won't lie. I had one paper where they were, writing the word "you," which you should never use second person anyway, but it was the letter U. They were writing in text.
It wasn't even, yeah.
Whoa.
I've had one person I'm like, oh, wait a second. Let's talk about text language versus formal essay writing.
Yeah.
So I can see where Kylie's coming from there with technology.
I mean, as far as technology goes, I know that the biggest problem when people are writing essays and stuff and they have to get research with technology and online sources, people don't cite their sources correctly.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of plagiarism that goes along with the internet. But I know that if you get your information out of a book, it's a lot easier to cite your source than like an online source. And plus, also, you don't know how reliable an online source is. And so I just know that people's information, their essays could be incorrect. And also, they're taking their own, taking that information that's not theirs and using it as their own. So I just know that people like to take advantage of that.
So it's because of the technology, like your cell phones and online, but like Microsoft Word, you have the dictionary in your hand and the thesaurus. And I remember, because I didn't have the computer. And did you guys, when you were in high school, did you have to write this paper? Did you have the option of writing it on the computer?
Well, not
We didn't.
It was
Ours had to be turned in.
It was mostly write it out.
With our
There was a
hand.
few times in my senior year where it was like, okay, so we're gonna spend this many days in the library researching it, and if you get done with all your research, you can type it up, but you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
We weren't even allowed to use online sources for our papers in high school.
well,
But we had like our English teacher was super strict. So it was, you wrote directly out of what you read. You didn't get to use anything else. Like there was no cheating. You couldn't cheat.
well, it was like what we used is like EBSCO and stuff like that. That's what we used in high school, and so I didn't even use that till like my senior year, and so that was so the source is right there, and so it's correctly cited it. So those are the only sources we were allowed to use.
We had to go get the book from the library or books and get them proofed by our professor, or our teacher. Like she had to look at them and make sure that that's what she wanted, or you couldn't use it.
Well,
Yeah.
we could go way back. Long,
10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had to go to the actual library and go through the card catalog. You don't even know what I'm talking
Taking it
about,
back.
do you?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Calumet had one.
Yeah, all my papers had to be handwritten because we had typewriters, and yes, we did have computers back in then too. I'm not that old, but handwriting, that was a big issue. That was a big deal with our papers back then. We had to write, so it'd take me forever because as you can tell, I don't have the best handwriting.
Right, yeah, I had a little chicken scratch handwriting.
And we
so
had a
that's
double space, and we had to use blue or black ink.
Oh man.
And if you messed up with one word, it's like, you have to start over, pretty much. Now, I didn't have too strict a teacher in my senior year. If we just crossed the word out once, just with one line, and because we double spaced and just underneath it, fix it. She was cool. My junior year teacher, not so cool. No, we had if you messed up, start over. So,
my teacher was like that
word.
Yeah. So I'll just take the points off. I'm not starting over. Yeah. But, technology, at least with the software for writing papers, very convenient. Spell check, grammar check. Now, if you don't know that there are some words that have more than one spelling, or if you don't know what a run-on is and it says, here's your suggestions on a run-on, and then you fix it, you push it, and then all of a sudden it changes, because it does. It changes your writing style. It just gives you a recommended. So if you don't know, so that's why I'm saying use spell check, use grammar check. They're great. If you don't know what a sentence fragment is, because it always just, I think when it says fragment, it'll say sentence fragment, revise. And if you don't know what a fragment is, so I don't know if they do a good enough job teaching grammar anymore. I know I don't, and I apologize, but I figured you're in college now, you should know what a sentence fragment is. But
the thing is, when I was in high school, we got taught grammar pretty well.
Good.
My senior year, we were still getting taught very well, and I know that after I graduated, at my school district, they converted to everyone uses laptops. So a lot of teachers don't exactly, all their stuff's online. Teachers aren't teaching as much in class and doing tests in class, and so it's not, I feel like I wouldn't learn as much. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, that's fun to still pass the class, but then when you go in college, you're not going to know anything. You Googled all your answers on.
That's right, and that's one thing I was kind of saying with the negatives with technology. I was looking into is it's great with software typing, writing papers. Yes, wonderful, but I do think, like you're saying, it takes away from our own creative minds. It takes away from our own critical thinking skills, because it's so easy just to, I don't really know anything. Google.
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool. I'm going to take their idea.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing. Your technology changes the way we think.
Yeah, and all freshmen through seniors, they get their own personal Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And so, all the computers in our library are gone now, so everyone just uses that. And all the tests are online. Well, most of the tests are online, and most of the assignments are online. I'm like, are teachers actually even teaching? I know that they're doing something, but I just feel like a lot of it is just kids are having to teach themselves because.
Well, we got iPads my junior and senior year.
Cool.
Everybody got iPads, and it was cool, but it wasn't cool at the same time because we didn't really use them. We got them, but we only opened them if we needed the textbook. Any other time, everything had to still be turned in on paper. We were still getting lectured, which is good for us because then when we graduated and I started college while I was in high school, so it was easier for me to pass because I took Comp 1 and 2 as a senior, and it was easy to do it because I already knew how to write a paper, so I didn't have to take the extra 50 years procrastinating to write my paper because it was just easy. I just did it.
Speaking of iPads, my previous job before here was I was at Bethany Public Schools for 15 years, and they had iPad cards. Not every student, but we would always say, all right, and we'd give them these iPads, but we weren't really told how to use them or anything like that. Me, at the time, I still had a flip phone. I didn't know technology all that well. And so, of course, they store them in my room. Well, but anyway, I remember getting called in the principal's office saying, yeah, we need to maybe either utilize the iPads correctly or just not use them at all, because apparently the kids, because you all know more about it than I do, and they're taking pictures. And so you got pictures of, and again, now we're dealing with federal law, FERPA, which is pretty much a right to privacy. And so now if you're taking pictures, and they can post it to anywhere and everywhere. And so, yeah, technology, like I said, it can be a great thing if you know how to use it. And that's what I was thinking. We need to teach responsibility now. It's almost another thing that we're responsible for as educators.
Yeah. I know that Ms. Schonkirk, I went to Comp 1 and Comp 2 with Ms. Schonkirk, but she told, she was very strict about citing your paper. Yeah. And she's like, this is very important.
It wasn't hey, being mean. She was.
No, right.
It was just she was very clear from the beginning that, you do this, I'll give you maybe a warning. And then, then after that, it's, nope.
Because aren't there websites that you guys have that would be able to scan the papers that you've been given and then check and see if it was cited correctly?
There's it's the Safe Assign. It's a software program through Blackboard. And so anything that's sent electronically, if we attach it to the Safe Assign, it'll scan it for us
And
and let us know if you're plagiarizing or not.
doesn't it do like a percentage? And if it's above a certain percentage, it's
Pretty much,
plagiarism?
yeah, pretty much. What I do and what we're supposed to do with that is you look at it and 90% of the time the student didn't even realize they were plagiarizing. It's just they didn't cite the source. They forgot to either put the author's name or they just did it incorrectly. And so that's just another learning, and I use it kind of as a learning tool. That's why when I give them a rough draft, they have to submit it through Blackboard, and it gives them feedback right then. It tells them, okay, this is 45% plagiarized. And a lot of students are like, I didn't realize to do that. And I could go through and look, oh, you just didn't put the author's name or something. Or, yeah, you had a lot of quotes. You need to add your own words now. You just kind of what we call stack the cards.
Mm-hmm.
You had your topic sentence, great topic sentence, but then you had source, and then kind of a clincher sentence that recapped it. And there wasn't one word of your own. It was just simply a source after source. So then, of course, the plagiarism number is going to be high.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some input about these sources. Why was that important? Put it in your own words. Now it's going to bring that number down, which is what we're looking for. So
I think SafeAssign is a good tool. I took Comp 1 and 2 with Miss Rupp,
Mhm.
and we had to submit ours through SafeAssign before we ever turned it in. So like our rough draft had to go through SafeAssign, and if I think it was above like 15%, you had to. She was like, no, probably not. Because one time my partner that sat next to me got like 20%. And she was like, but I didn't plagiarize. And like one whole paragraph had come from someone else's paper, which is weird because it's not like we're like going up to people asking for their papers. It just kind of helped us broaden our vocabulary and stuff, like how we talk, because we had to think of a different way to say something that someone else had already said.
Like pretty much rephrase it.
Kind
and
of,
put
yeah.
Put it in how you would.
put it in
say
your style.
Yeah.
Because
Instead
it's
of
taking
theirs.
someone else. Because plagiarism is not necessarily the words; it's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And think of every single paper that's submitted electronically, not just at Redlands, but in all colleges and universities.
Yeah.
That's where all these papers go.
Mm-hmm.
And so SafeAssign then scans all of them. And so, because I had some students that are like, man, but that's only like 8%. How is it 8% plagiarized? I'm like, that's really low.
Yeah.
And that's really low. And they're like, well, that's like 1/10 of my paper, or 1/12. I'm not 1/12 of my paper. That I'm like, it's okay. Because your topic sentence, you might have worded a sentence exactly like someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other hundreds of thousands of students that have submitted a paper. It's okay. It's when it gets to those high numbers that we know they plagiarized. Like that one that was 100%.
That was so
I
funny.
kind of knew. I kind of knew that one was plagiarized. I could call them out on that one. But
Does that happen a lot?
one time this year.
Okay.
Last year I had one that was a little high. But it was one of those, they just stacked all the sources on top of each other and didn't put any of their own input. But, yeah, 100%. Made it easy. Say, hey, see why I gave you a 0? I'm nodding my head. Nodding my head yes. But, yeah. And usually I think our policy here at Redlands is, we give them kind of a warning, redo it, do it again. We'll see. Probably see you later. One of those, but
Yeah.
But like I said, 90% of the time they don't even realize they're doing it. They don't. They just cited wrong. They just messed up.
So so talking back about is technology making it harder for students to write? Is it for the imagination as well?
Oh, I think
Yeah,
it's affecting creativity.
Really?
I do.
Well, because I'm thinking, I wrote down like television. I mean, you watch that and just your mindset is towards the show that or TV, whatever you're watching, and so that kind of you lack the imaginative, the creativity.
Creativity and critical thinking.
Well,
I do believe technology kind of has hindered that a little bit. And maybe that's just my own personal opinion, but it does, especially with writing classes, you're dealing with creativity and the critical thinking. And right now you have children, social media, it's affected our social interaction. We don't interact with people anymore. It's called social media, but it's made us antisocial. It really has.
I just
And
want you to know that I'm not antisocial.
some people, you're right, but I know, because with my composition class, I make you present. I make them get up and kind of present their essays, and comp 2, every one of their papers they have to present, because it's an argument. I want them to tell us why they feel the way they do, and then have a actual question and answer with the audience and say, hey, because they need that interaction, I feel. I mean, to be successful in college, you're going to have to interact with people. But I do believe, and this is one of the negatives of technology, I think it's kind of made us antisocial. All of a sudden we say, you have to give a presentation, and I have 2 or 3. I'm going to drop the class now because I am not getting up in front of the class. It's
which that's funny to me because it's like they can't graduate without taking a speech class. They have to take a speech class and present. So it's like to go to speech class, you got to present. I'm going to drop it. Why? Like you literally cannot take any other class to make up for speech.
Yeah, and is speech online? Is it
No.
offered online?
I
I would
think
hope
it
not
should.
because
No, I don't think. Yeah,
it shouldn't because I'm sitting here and I just now thought of that when you said that because this DELT committee that I'm doing this workshop, we're evaluating a speech class that's done online, and I'm just now thinking about wait, that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a record of it. See, people would be so much easier just recording a video of themselves because they're not worried about people standing right there. I wouldn't be nearly as nervous, but I'm not also like learning to do it in front of an audience. So it's
just like what we're doing now. I mean, do you guys think that you would actually do this if we were in an audience, like watching?
If there was an audience sitting here listening to us,
Yes, I would still do it.
Really?
I mean,
She would.
I would be about the same, but like I would in the back of my mind be like, oh man, they're all staring at us.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't bug me a whole lot. But I think speech class has a lot to do with helping that.
Right.
So
That's what I took. I took speech second semester, and I'm glad I took it the first year because I knew that this semester I had to go up in front of the class multiple times, and that's what for the students that are listening, take that speech class like the first semester so that you
take it as soon as possible.
just get it over with, and that's one. And then the second reason is so you actually learn like how to talk in front of people, and
because it's going to happen not just in speech class, but I know in my composition classes, and I'm sure in other classes, you're going to have to get up and talk. So I like that.
So I actually, the first day of speech class, I spoke to the professor. What was her name?
Professor
Muggenberg.
Okay.
I told her, I said, hey, so I get really, really nervous. I was like, I don't think I could do it. Is there any tips that you can give me? She's like, don't say that ever again. He's like, it's all in your mind. And that day on, I was like, okay, like I'll work with this.
And he was even nervous telling her that.
Oh, yeah.
I was awful. I was so shy.
Well, everybody, hopefully everybody's going to have to present. So you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So I know
She
you're going to be
also
nervous.
said that. She's like, you're not the only one. I promise you. Just pretend, just say. She said, go in the mirror, like walk up to the mirror and tell yourself you're going to do this and you're going to do fine, and then that'll be built into your head, and so you'll be able to. You'll be able
And your
to do
speech
it.
has turned out fine, by the way.
Thank you. I worked on them for a long time.
That first one you did were chess. I was impressed.
Oh, thank you. Hey, that rhymed.
That's good.
All right. Is there anything else?
I don't think so. Yep.
Okay. Well, this was a fun episode. I even told Gabe, I was like, I'm really excited about this episode. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome. That makes me. I'm honored.
So, well, Professor Hawk, thank you for doing the show. It was a lot of fun. Well, fellow podcast listeners, if there are any comments or questions that you would like to ask any of us, or if you would like to leave a comment about the show, please do so on Facebook. Please do so on Facebook or Twitter. And if you're interested in the Redlands Community College, please go to redlandscc.edu. Oh, I'm messing this one up. And as always, dream big, students.